Hello, Paul Heumiller here at Dream Guitars, and today we have builder Kevin Caton with us. And he brought us this new little baby. We appreciate it. Good to see you, Kevin.
Yeah. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. I met Kevin a couple of years ago at the Santa Barbara Guitar Show out in California, and we had a good half-hour chat, getting to know each other. And
super happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. Kevin, tell me a little bit about if you would just describe to a layperson, just what are you trying to do in your guitar build? Like, what are you trying to get from your wood?
That's a good question. It's well, you want to. I mean, the goal is to have a functional instrument. I mean, but as a luthier, you're trying to also build your personality into it and be an artist. And that part comes natural. It's just who you are. You put that into your instrument. But the functional part, that does take years and years and years. So, it's really about listening to the instrument and listening to the wood holding in your hands, and just having that experience that that piece of wood's ready, and you're going to build an instrument that projects and is fun to play.
Cool.
So.
Cool. And I know since we first met, you said you've changed a bunch of things in your guitars. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I changed my bracing patterns a little bit. I'm still doing a standard X, but just have shifted my X a little bit and changed the angle of my lower face braces. I am also doing triple laminated sides, which is rigid up the rim, and when you do that, it definitely holds the compression of the instrument and drives that top and back a lot. Mm-hmm. They project much more than my instruments of the past.
Other ones, I enjoy line sides. I think just for those who may not be aware of that, the sides can be just the actual wood that you're seeing on the side bent in the shape, or on the inside they can laminate various woods, often maple or other types of wood. What type of wood do you use?
I'm doing an inner core maple. That's flat sawn, and then the inside is quarter sawn mahogany.
Okay, great. Yeah. And what that does, of course, is makes the side very rigid, like a drum. If you imagine a drum, the rim is very rigid, and the heads both move, and that's the same idea here. And do you feel it changes the activity of the back?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can you can almost feel the back driving against your body. You can feel that vibration of the instrument. And actually it's a little bit rewarding for the player, because as a player, you sometimes don't necessarily have the ability to hear the instrument the way you would want to hear the instrument, and to be able to feel the instrument is very conducive to enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, so I totally agree. Over the years, I've really come to realize that I think players want feel and energy of the guitar almost first.
Yeah.
And then the tone comes in. So I always used to think, well, it's the sound, of course, and that's true. But I think that if it doesn't move in their arms, they also are not satisfied. There's something missing. Yeah,
there's something tangible there in the instrument that when you do feel it vibrate, it almost makes you play better.
Yeah, certainly want to play more.
Yeah,
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this little feature. So you've got a sound port here that's located a little differently and shaped a little differently, and
yeah, so this is what I'm calling the Bevel Porter. Mm-hmm. It's essentially no different than any traditional side sound hole. Mm-hmm. I just put it on the edge. It's at a 45-degree angle to the side and back. And it does a couple things. I feel like it does give you that energy against your body that we were talking about, and you can feel the instrument kind of project against your body. And it also gives you that responsiveness from a side sound hole that, kind of like a little personal monitor for the player.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just playing the guitar downstairs a bunch, and I definitely felt satisfied by what I was getting in my ears from that direction. And I think it's very cool looking. It's a very different take on how to fit it into the instrument. Yeah. And I like it a lot.
It's difficult to do new things anymore.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do new things that are functional.
Right.
And that's the key. It needs to do something for the instrument.
Right.
And the player.
Yep. it must be incredibly satisfying to have a human being just grab something that you made, whatever it is, and have it inspire them to do something, and especially something like music.
Yeah, that's, man, I talked to you for an hour about that. I mean, just, I don't get to hear people play my instruments very often because I play them and then they go away. But when you do sit and you watch an artist play, you know, what you've worked really hard on and produce beautiful music, it's one of the most rewarding parts of being a luthier.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, of course, there's the camaraderie, and we talked a little bit about the great people in this business. And, you know, I see it all the time at the shows, and of course, you know, this weekend I've got some friends coming in that are luthiers to hang out. So, you know, talk to me a little bit about what that means to you, or how that's affected you.
Well, that's made me become a better luthier. You go to the shows and everybody's really positive. Everybody is very interested in other people's instruments, and there seems to be it's a group of people that are willing to give you your information and discuss what they do and maybe give you pointers of what they think your instruments would benefit from. And you get to go have lunch and drinks together and just be part of kind of a extended family. It's really fun.
Yeah, and I feel like at least in the current climate of guitar world, I feel like everybody wants to lift the craft up.
Yeah.
So there's no real secrets. It's like, hey, man, you know, you're doing this. You mind if I try this? Or, you know, it's very giving.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always that, hey, I like what you did there. You mind if I do that? Go for it. Have fun.
Let's see what you do with it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you've been changing your guitar a bit over the last few years. And what, do you have any sort of visions of where you might go in the next 4 or 5 years? Or is it refining the same, or you got bigger ideas?
I wouldn't say I necessarily have any vision, but I do like to kind of step back from my builds and ask what I can improve on them. I think that's a really important thing to do as a luthier. You should always push yourself to grow as a builder. I want to be able to, in 10 years, look at my guitars that I'm building now and see an improvement, you know, and because it's a journey. It's, you know,
Oh yeah.
it's a fun journey, and I intend to keep going down that road. So,
If you weren't building guitars, what would you be doing?
if I weren't building guitars, I started. I've always been an artist, so I mean, in some aspect, that's what I would be. You know, when I was a kid, I would paint and sculpt, and I was always painting murals on the wall, and you know,
Legally or illegally?
in the home, in my home, my mom was always very just whatever, paint on the wall.
Cool.
So I've always considered myself an artist, and that's when it really clicked for me when I started building guitars. Was I love music, but I'm not a strong guitar player. And I played drums and bands and stuff, and I was just never a real strong musician. But I knew I loved doing it. And when I started building guitars, it was like, I can do both of these. I can be in that world of music and have a creative outlet. So, if I wasn't building guitars, I would, in some aspect, be some sort of artist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That leads me to the question: what do you think about when people paint on guitars?
I'm not a fan of that. I have in the past kind of experimented with finishes and trying to do shading that gives you different looks to the instrument, but
Well, I've seen a few people who've done it like they're real artists, and it's an interesting approach. But I'm such a wood junkie, like most people, that
I think I could get into it if it was done right, if it was really well, elegantly done, but I just haven't necessarily seen that yet.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have in the past used branding irons and done murals on the inside of the instrument on the top.
Oh, that's cool.
And there was a poem I put around the rim, and if you put a mirror in there, it was backwards. You could use the mirror to read the poem.
Very neat.
But it was a special order, and that's not something
Yeah, Kent Everett, I've seen he'll do some of that where he'll put actual artwork on the sides of the guitar
Yeah.
inside, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Neat idea.
Yeah, a lot of artists or a lot of builders want the inside of their instrument to be as pretty as the outside.
Yeah.
Nice and clean, and you spend a lot of time building this. You want every little part to be.
Yeah. Well, as a shop owner, I can tell you when we stick a mirror in and we find some kind of a note or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like you've uncovered a little bit of history.
Yeah.
And a lot of builders don't have a logo or anything, and the only way you know who built
Yeah.
it is their signature on the top, and
Yeah.
that's kind of cool to me.
Yeah.
Who are a couple of makers that you really admire?
Man, there are so many. But I would say the builder that inspired me the most, there were two of them. One would be Kathy Wingert. I discovered Kathy a long time ago, and I think she was one of those builders that got a website up real quick. And I discovered her online, and it blew my mind that you could take what I was doing. I didn't know there were other people out there doing that. And then there were people out there doing it that have been doing it for years and making a living doing it. And so she was a huge inspiration to me.
Awesome.
And her work is beautiful.
Yeah, she's quite an artist.
And the other one was Mike Doolin. Just because Mike's work is so different.
Yeah.
It opened up my mind and made me realize that you don't have to build an OM or you don't have to build a Dreadnought. You don't have to follow what Gibson or Martin did. You can go out and make your own guitar and be your own, builder. And,
Yeah, Mike's a great player, so I think,
Mike's
I
great,
think as a builder, he probably was coming a lot more from the player angle
probably, yeah.
himself, like with
Yeah.
the big deep cutaways and double cutaway
Yeah,
acoustics. And,
doing his harp guitars and stuff.
yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, and Kathy does the harp guitars too. So.
Yeah. I think builders torture themselves. They just want to build the hardest thing to possibly build.
I've drawn up probably 5 or 6 plans for harp guitars and just haven't came into existence yet.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming by
thank
and
you.
doing guitars. Good to talk to you, Kevin.
Yeah, it's been great.
All right.
Thanks.
Cheers, y'all.